everybody. Welcome to a Thursday edition of Podcast. I'm your host, Frank Holder. I'm here sitting here with some comics and comedian lovers. These comics have been in the game for a very long time. From Fig to Talent, they've been in the comedy game for since comedy been comedy. And my man Amir, comedy lover since they've been in comedy.
Yes, sir.
We got a whole lot of stuff to talk about because the NBA is jumping off. Before I jump into the NBA trades and some stuff that's still jumping off, let me just say a couple of things real fast. Let's jump into the real other quick news, and then we got a lot to talk about the NBA. First things first, the COVID report I do every day. Looks like the Tokyo relay for the Olympics started today, and because it started today actually with no fans, it was the first time ever in history that the Tokyo Olympic relay with a torchbearer has absolutely had no one there.
Wow.
First time ever in history, as they literally showed the scene of that walking through, which was dynamic just to see that. So that's the COVID report. Now let me jump into the U.S. women's soccer team. They met Joe Biden yesterday. They are trying to get Joe Biden to sign for women's equal pay. So that would be very instrumental. Joe Biden looks like he's moving forward to make sure that women get equal pay, and the U.S. women's soccer team could take on, of course, a lot of the credit for forcing Joe Biden to do that. Talent, when you hear that, man, what's your thoughts on that?
Equal pay, baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know why I root for women and equal pay? Because that means my pay gonna go up. You know, when they say equal pay, you know, it's the same struggle we've been going through. I like a word I heard. I watched that show in Maine, and they said about women, especially black women, are intersectionalists, meaning they're caught at an intersection fighting for equalness, just being a woman, and then they're fighting for black rights. So they're at the intersect. They're intersectionalists, and I'm all for it. That's what's up.
All right, Fig, what's your thoughts?
I just think it's amazing how Talent put sex right there when he was talking about women and issues and stuff like that. You threw that word right in there, like went over some people's head, but I caught it intersexualness. I was like, I don't know what he's talking about, but I know he threw sex in there. Listen, man, I'm all for women getting equal pay because if they're doing the equal amount of work, if they're doing the same job that the men are doing, then I think that they should get the same pay, just like anybody else, man. I mean, why should men get more money just because they were born with a different anatomy? It don't make sense.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I want to ask my man Amir, who's joining the show. Amir Sealy. Amir, what's your thoughts, bro?
I think it's great, man. I think it's about time. I mean, you know, so much of what we're going through, you know, just across the board is about old trains of thought. And we live in a world where for a very long time, there's been a specific dominant train of thought that says men and women aren't equal, you know, in certain areas and so forth and so on. And that's true. But when it comes to the workforce, when it comes to certain things that we know and we've seen, you know, women show and prove, they should be getting the same kind of money as the guys are getting because they're doing the same amount of work. Just that simple.
I agree with all that too. Let's move on, man. Let's talk about my man Juwan Howard, because he's making history. Whether you all are paying attention to it or not, you all sit at home, and whether you care about it or not, Juwan Howard sat on the bench as a Miami Heat's assistant coach, and now he went and joined his alma mater in Michigan, and now he got Michigan in the final 16. You know, the Sweet 16 is what they call it. He's the first player ever to do that, first player who played for a team and then become a coach. And I don't think a big enough splash is being made about that talent. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't know. I don't want to assume. I don't know why people make it. Go ahead.
I think people are recognizing. I think people are recognizing, Frank. I think it's you may seem like it's not because of COVID. COVID has changed the vibe on a lot of things. So because COVID takes up a lot of our talking space, you might not hear it in a hoopla sense like you normally would if we was in what we quote unquote call normalization. But because of COVID, a lot of things are not bullhorned other than COVID and stimulus and stuff like that. It's amazing what he's doing. And I think anybody that's into sports know that.
Right. I can't disagree with that part. Fig, what do you think?
Man, I'm so excited. I was talking about Juwan Howard even before he got to the final 16. that he put together a winning program and a winning style of basketball with what you would consider not the biggest name players in college sports, and one of them, and to make it even bigger, one of his best players is out. You know what I mean? I don't know whether it's injury or due to COVID or whatever, but I know for a fact that one of the best players on Michigan's team has been missing in action. So he's doing it even shorthanded, if you will. It's just phenomenal that he was able to do what he did in the first, like you said, ex-NBA player, ex-NBA coach to come to the college ranks, and he's doing the damn thing. Kudos to Michigan.
Yeah. Samir, what you think about this, brother, without that move?
I think that it's absolutely phenomenal. For those of us who are sports fans, and I include myself as well as you gentlemen, I was a big Fab Five junkie. I was around for all the Georgetown days. Patrick Ewing, what he was able to do with his squad this year, to see any and all of these players have the opportunity to go back to the institutions which they have been a part of those legacies and then build on that legacy, I think is incredible. And not only shout outs and kudos to Juwan Howard, but any and all other former players who find themselves in those positions, because there are some other players. Their programs may not be to the level that those two programs are, but any guys that go back and say to themselves, this program is what helped put me on the map and I still want to continue that legacy and help the next generation, I think that's the truth. So I'm very happy for him.
Yeah, look, what was the underlying factor of all this too that people ain't paying attention to is that this is Juwan Howard's first year as a coach. You know what I mean? I don't know too many players who, first of all, become a coach for their former team and then first year take their team to the Sweet 16 when their team was trashed the year before. I don't know too many people who've done that. So, he's got to get some kind of credit. He needs to get on some kind of covers of Sports Illustrated, like something. He needs to do something. But anyway, let's talk about the NBA, man, because stuff is jumping off every 5 seconds. I think so far the biggest trade, there were some big trades, but I think so far the biggest trade literally just happened like a few minutes ago when we got on the air. And that win was the 76ers just acquired George Hill from the Thunder. Now, George Hill going to the Thunder, George Hill going to the 76ers was one of the plug pieces that we expected not to happen. Everybody's expecting, obviously, my man Kyle Lowry to be there. If Kyle Lowry still ends up there, that could be huge. But George Hill is one of the most underrated players in the league, and he would fit in perfectly, in my opinion, to the 76ers. But it also says to me that Kyle Lowry will not go to the Sixers, and he'll probably go to the Lakers because the way things are shaking out right now. You know how GMs do. Certain people not happy with certain deals. Talent, what's your thoughts? Do you like George Hill to the 76ers right now?
I like George Hill, period. He's going to help any team he goes to. I think that's great for the Sixers. The Sixers, that's all they're missing is like some sort of floor general. And George Hill, he's been holding teams together on several different teams. So I like that move right there for the Sixers. They had to get a guard. They had to get a floor general, somebody in there. And he's a nice piece of glue. It's like going after crazy glue. I mean, you got Elmer's, but it got the job done. It stuck the glitter to the construction paper.
Yeah. Fig, George Hill to the 76ers, does that plug in some plugs, that they needed and then make them more of a formidable force in the East?
I like George Hill because, like Talent called him a floor general. I love the way he used the analogy of the glue. You know what I mean? Took me back to
Thank you.
Took me back to elementary school with the Elmer's glue, man. I ain't heard Elmer's glue. I heard of Gorilla Glue and Crazy Glue, but to go all the way back to the white Elmer's glue, amazing. And Elmer's glue, if you realize it, had Nick colors. Elmer's glue, just like Amir got on Nick colors today. I love it.
All right, Amir, what you think, bro?
I think George Hill, becoming an addition to the Sixers is a great move. I think a lot of teams, obviously we know a lot of these teams there's main stars and they have the guys who are going to be the catalyst for the teams, especially going into the playoffs. Where teams are usually faltering is the guys who can hold it together when the stars have to sit down. And George Hill is one of those players who has that capability. He has the ability to, continue, like they said, to lead, as Fig and Talent alluded to. And I think that's going to be huge for the Sixers, especially as they, move forward, especially in the playoffs, because that's when your stars need that rest, and that's when they need those breaks. So you need those guys that can still come in, either hold the lead or build on it, and make sure that your team is in the hunt. So I think that's an excellent addition for those guys.
Speaking of additions to the teams, it looks like the Clippers are trying to get my man Rajon Rondo in a deal that's happening right now. It looks like he's going to possibly be traded to the Clippers. That's the hot heat they're talking about right now. So I'm going to say this to you, Talent. I think Rajon Rondo could be that one player that could come in and straighten out that whole Clippers locker room and get them boys to actually pay attention and say, you know what, y'all, we going to win. Something's going to roll. I love Rajon Rondo to the Clippers. Pairing him up with Kawhi could be, like that could be the missing piece. What you think, Talent?
Well, I mean, either he gonna go in the locker room and say that, or he gonna punch you in your face. He might punch you in your face. I like Rondo. Rondo's another one of those players that no matter where you go, it can't make the situation worse. It only can make it better. And the Clippers need to get better. So I like him going to the Clippers. I can see him. Oh man, the Clippers, if they get Rondo, they just got that much jazzier, and that much more fun to watch. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like you watch the Clippers now, you kind of sit back and you wait for Kawhi to do something, you wait for Paul George to do something, and it's very methodical. But Rondo, he's one of those players, one point guards that like he makes the game look fun. And I can see them getting a lot jazzier. Good move to get raised up.
Well, Talent, you didn't say, and I'm going to say before I throw it to Fig, is Rondo on the team is a coach on the floor. That's something that everybody's not paying attention to. Rondo is literally like an NBA coach on the floor. Fig, what you thought?
Well, I didn't say that because I don't agree with that.
Oh, okay. All right, Fig, what you think?
I like Rondo, man. I like playoff Rondo better than anything. Playoff Rondo is he's a phenomenal player. He doesn't have any I think what it is about Rondo is that he doesn't have any wasted moves. You know what I mean? You got some guys, they go east to west. Rondo is basically north and south and get the ball into the hands of the person that needs the ball at the time they need the ball, or he's going to score. And last year, I'm like, my God, he turned into Steph Curry. I mean, what did he shoot from 3-point last year? What was he, like 90%? I'm like, who the hell is this kid, man? Like, who is this new Rondo that can shoot 3-pointers like damn near better than anybody in the league? He just turned it. He just changed his game and took it to a whole new level. And if the Clippers get him, he just basically put the rest of the Western Conference on notice.
Hey, Amir, the thought could be that the Lakers don't win the NBA championship if they don't add Rondo last year. There could be an argument said to that because he saved them in multiple times in a lot of games. What you thought about adding him to the Clippers?
I think, again, piggybacking on my colleagues have said and what you guys are saying to this point. First of all, if you really watch the game, his basketball IQ is very high, and I think you need players like that who, once on the floor, can honestly see the game steps ahead of itself. And I think that's what Rondo really brings to that team. My only concern with the Clippers, and it's been the concern, even with going back to last year, is we, want to see, obviously, the fight between them and the Lakers or them and whomever. I just don't know if Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are definitively on the same page. We won't say it because all of us are trying to, just say, well, they're great players and they should be able to, coexist or whatever the case may be. But just based off of what we've seen to this point, there seems to be some sort of disconnect between those two gentlemen. Everybody else is doing their part. They're ready to get out there and ball and do certain things. But I feel like the disconnect is really between Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And if they can figure that part out, I think the Clippers will, be definitely a force to reckon with.
Yeah, there could be an argument made that they're two similar, very similar style type of players, and that might be the problem. That there could be an argument made for that. Me, a good, great point. Talent, man. There's another trade that happened, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna tell you, I'm not a fan of it. Aaron Gordon got traded from Orlando Magic to the Denver Nuggets. Now, a lot of people up there thinking that's a great move and everything else because it makes Denver strong. It does. Denver is stronger. Denver does do good things with Aaron Gordon. They can make some things. I just don't necessarily think that the style he plays necessarily fits with Denver. You know what I mean? Because they take away the couple of other players that they have that play similar style. They literally, to me, are starting to look like the Clippers. You know what I mean? Now, if he goes there to Denver, it shifts the magnitude to me. It shifts the style of play somewhat more so for him to make them be successful. Now, I don't know. I mean, we can debate. We'll see. What's your thought process on Aaron Gordon to the Denver Nuggets?
Well, I want to see it. I want to see it on the floor. It's one of those situations where I can't call it up front. I have to see it on the floor 1, 2, maybe 3 games, because you can watch a team play a certain style, and then you can add a component to that team, and the style and swagger changes slightly, but it's still cohesive on that floor. So the style of play is slightly different from what Denver's been doing, but again, I think they can adjust. I think Denver is a solid, consistent team, and the Denver team we've seen in the last season was all about adjustments. Mm-hmm. They wasn't always moving like that. You know, they became this cohesive unit over time and playing with each other. Teams always got to play with each other. So now you add this piece. I mean, he was a wasted piece in Orlando. Let's keep it real. He's going to a place that's going to get more shine, more ticks, that's coming off a great season, previous season. I don't know, Frank. I got to see about 3 games. I think they may be able to adjust.
Okay. All right. Vic, what's your thoughts?
I love Aaron Gordon as a player, man. I think he was in purgatory in Orlando. I think that people haven't really seen the best of Aaron Gordon because of the team that he played on. And he's a slasher, a scorer, a rebounder. He's really long. He can play defense. And he can knock down the 3. I think I'm trying to think, you know, you asked the question, I was trying to think who Denver has that mimics him, man. And
that young boy they had last year.
Huh?
Remember that young boy they had last year who's the playoff sensation everybody was talking about? I think they play a lot similar style. I can't think of his name right now. I think they play a lot alike. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he was younger and he's a little lighter in the behind. Gordon he got his man body now, and you know, when you come to the playoffs, I think that he could take a little more of the playoff banging that goes on, and I think that he'll help Denver. I mean, Denver's going to be a problem because I think he takes them to another level.
I think he spent a lot of time on description of men bodies. You said one guy was light in the ass, other guy's long. You know, he's hard.
Get your mind out of the gutter. And see, we can tell that you're not married because you're paying attention to too much.
Hey, Fig, I could have got married 3 times. I'm never going to be noticing somebody light in the ass.
Amir, what you think, bro?
Basketball boy, you know what I'm talking about. Shut up.
I think again, this is another kind of wait and see situation. You know, as Fig, pointed out, Aaron Gordon's talents were, obviously not being utilized down in Orlando. And, unfortunately, the league is full of places where sometimes people end up for, various reasons. And it's not until you get yourself into a space, into a place where your game can now not only be utilized properly, but you learn to bond with your teammates. You learn to, build that kind of camaraderie that's necessary to make those kinds of runs for championships and things like that. And I think where this guy is concerned, because he's been in Orlando for so long, he may really want to make that adjustment quickly. And obviously he does, with the fact that this is a shortened season. But I think that that's going to be, really the test to see if he can make that adjustment and the team can make the adjustment to figure out exactly, how that all is going to play out for them. But I think it's a great move. I think it's absolutely phenomenal move.
At the end of the day, like Talon said, we got to see them play out and see how man. Because 2 years ago, we thought Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on the Clippers was a great move too. So at the end of the day, until they play the game, you don't know.
Never know. That's why we play the game, Frank. I mean, I thought Paul George was a little light in the ass when he first went to the Clippers, but I didn't ever mention it. I just let them play and see how it worked out.
You know what? That's kind of funny that you say what you say, Frank. I think with the addition of Rondo, I think he'll be able to sort of balance that out because he has that kind of basketball mind. I think he'll be able to balance out the whole Kawhi Paul George dynamic. You know what I mean? He has that kind of floor generalship. I think he could do that.
I think so too. I think Rondo's an excellent. So far out of all the trades I've seen so far this morning, I think if Rondo does land on the Clippers and they work it out, I think that'd be one of the best additions to the team that nobody's talking about. I think that so far that I've seen. But I'm gonna take a pause for a second. I'm gonna come back to the NBA trades because I gotta ask my New York people right here. I gotta ask my New York people this question: why in the hell is Dolan acting up? I gotta ask that, Talent. I gotta ask that. Why would he kick a fan out of Madison Square Garden for wearing a T-shirt that has no custom? I saw that this morning on the news. I was like, you mean to tell me that you took some security away from a job because a fan wore "Ban Dolan" on a shirt? You took somebody out and you kicked a fan out of Madison Square Garden, which you knew was going to become news and take away the news from how good the New York Knicks are doing? Talent, you please explain to me what's going on with Dolan, because I'm not a New York Knicks fan. I don't understand what's going on with that, brother.
Well, I'm gonna be honest, man, and I'm not a I'm not a fan of a lot that goes on and all the stuff that recently has been making the news. But I would have kicked his ass out too. You can't wear a shirt say "screw me" and mine. if I say, Frank, you and your wife come over, we cooking. You know, got me and my fiance, we gonna cook something. You know, come on over for dinner. Fig, bring your wife. And one of y'all Negroes show up with an F Talent shirt on. Oh, you're not getting in my door. And if you do get in my door, I'm putting one of these pit bulls on your ass. You're getting out real quick.
But Talent,
you can't do that, Frank. That's just you asking for trouble. I remember one time I made a mistake and wore a shirt to a court. I had to go. I was tired. I drove all the way to North Carolina for a moving violation, and I'm in there. And I got, matter of fact, you're a Boston guy. It was Jonathan Gates T-shirt from Boston. He had a shirt, and it was one of those trick shirts. From a distance, you see something, but up close, it just looks like mumbo jumbo or whatever. But from a distance, the judge looks up. He's not even on my case. I'm half asleep in the back of the courtroom. He just said, hold on a second. Young man, get your ass out my court. And I'm sitting there like, what? Me? Like, what I do? But if you back up, it's two people boning, having sex on the shirt. I totally forgot about this shirt. I'm tired. I'm in the court, packed house. And somebody's up there with a real charge, about to go to jail. The judge stopped and said, one second. Hey, you back, what the? Get your ass up. I was like this, like, me? He was like, you want to be held in contempt of court? You disrespecting my court? I said, what? And then I did like this. I said, oh. I went out there, turned it inside out, went back in the room, and he kept all day until he got to my name. He kept looking at me. And so you can't wear inappropriate stuff to a place. You know the man is sensitive. You know Dolan's got to be sensitive. And you coming in the garden, come on.
But Talent, it didn't say F Dolan. It said ban Dolan. I think it's a
even
big
worse.
difference.
That's worse.
All right, let me ask Fig what he thinks. I don't think it's worse. I think ban Dolan is just like no big deal. I don't think it's a big Fig. What you think? I don't think it's a big deal. But Fig, what you think?
You know, Dolan has to be one of the most sensitive, thin-skinned owners in the NBA, and he acts on it. He's an adult, but he's almost like on a third grade level. Everything offends him to the point where he pays attention to everything. You know, here's a man where you could berate his general manager, Phil Jackson. You can have the whole audience, the whole crowd berate your GM. You can have them talk about fire Isaiah, which is the coach of the team at the time. You can have them cuss players out and all type of stuff. But if you wear a T-shirt about him, now all of a sudden we need security and it's DEFCON 9. You know, man, this guy, to me, right before they hired Phil Jackson, the whole of New York was organizing a protest to get rid of Dolan. That's how thin-skinned he is. And it's just horrible, man. This dude is horrible.
All right, Amir, let me ask you this. Now, since this happened, do we believe more so Charles Oakley or what he said and everything else? Because, you know, Charles Oakley has some comments, too, about him.
Well, you know what? I mean, you know, the Fig's point and even the Talent's point, I get it. Look, as a human being, nobody wants anything negative, you know, to be said about them for whatever reason. So that, you know, let's take that off the table. However, sir, you're the owner of a team. Let's keep it 1,000. You own a team. So no matter what anybody in the stand says, feels, and thinks, you own the team. So who cares? You need to grow up. Look, you can't get to be however old this gentleman is and be an owner and this and that and the third, and you cry about every single solitary thing somebody says about you. At some point, hopefully, you got to become an adult and go, okay, everybody's not going to like me. Everybody's not even going to like the way that I think or how I carry myself and things that how I move. But it's okay because you need to be okay with yourself. Don't pick and choose or pick on people who have no real get back. A shirt that says Van Dolan, that could have been any Dolan. It didn't have to be him. That could have been any Dolan. He could know somebody named Ron Dolan, for all we know. Stop. You're sensitive. Sit your sensitive ass down.
Let me just say this. You're in the number 2 market in the NBA. People are gonna say some stuff about you. So if somebody whispers something about you, you gonna kick them out too? I mean, dude, this is one of the most ridiculous things I ever heard. And to me, before I move on to the next point, before I move on to the next point, here's the thing that bothers me the most is not only you're the number 2 market, you're taking away the thunder from the Knicks. You know what I mean? The Knicks are making a great positive news right now. They haven't had a positive news thing in this cycle in a long time. When you're taking away thunder from them. Anyway, let's move on. Now, there's another big trade that happened this morning. Nikola Vucevic, I can't even pronounce the dude's name. He got sent. The Orlando Magic center got traded to Chicago Bulls in a 4-player deal. And, of course, Orlando got basically 2 first-round picks. Now, here's the great thing about Orlando. They recognized the need that they had to implode. They had to implode the team, and they moved that. But that's not where I expected Nikola to land. When you hear about that talent, man, what's your thought process on the implosion the implosion happening in Orlando? Because now they've lost 4 or 5 players, man. They lost 4 or 5 players going on right now.
Well, first of all, I don't think you're gonna get away with that number 2 market crap. We number 1 market forever.
Okay.
Have been, always will be. Don't ever disrespect New York like that, though.
Okay, I won't do that. So even above LA?
We are the number 1 market in the NBA. Everybody knows that. That's why people will come here, sign here, even though they may not be on the route to winning the chip. That player will make the most money they will in their life because it's the number 1 market.
I apologize. LA is the number 1 market. Go ahead. I'll let you finish
this show. I should leave this damn show right now. I ain't got time for this. Anyway,
no, don't do that.
But on Orlando, Tip, we said this last week, at the beginning of this week. I mentioned that Orlando is in that time to rebuild. I don't know if you remember. I think it might have been yesterday, the day before. It's a rebuilding time for them. So the implosion makes all the sense in the world. I said the bad news is they need to do that. The good news is we're living in the times, what I call microwave days in the new NBA. It don't take that long to rebuild. You can rebuild. You can literally have a rebuilt team in 2 to 3 seasons. It don't take that long. But they needed to do it now because, unfortunately, as good as these players are, they're not really build around players yet. They're add-on players. So I guess when they're going back to the old formula and recipe of get that player to build around and then put the pieces as opposed to adding to pieces we already got. That's old school.
Yeah, I agree with that part. Greg, what you think?
I think it's old school tanking, man. That's exactly what it is. I mean, you couldn't possibly tank with the players like Nikola Vucevic, Aaron Gordon. You can't take with those kind of players on your roster. So getting rid of them sort of lends legitimacy to you tanking for the rest of the season and possibly going lower in the standings and moving up in the draft so you could get a better draft picks. So I understand it from an organization point of view, but for Orlando fans, it ain't so good. But I mean, do they have a strong fan base anyway? I don't think
so. My man, let me ask you what you think of me. What you think about this process, man?
Well, I think, again, to all the points that have been made thus far, one of the things that is great about them doing it in this particular moment and at this particular time is still the fans haven't been allowed to even get back into stadiums yet for the most part. So if you have to rebuild now and you don't have a product for fans to, come out on a nightly basis and participate and see, this is the perfect time for any team who, feels as though they really need to, do some tinkering. This is the time to do it. So, with that having been said, I think Orlando is doing what they, deem necessary. And as Talent said, you can rebuild a lot quicker in this day and age than you, used to be able to do in the past. So I think that it's, it's right on point.
Right. Well, let me ask you all, since of course Orlando's employed in the team and everything else, the Celtics now are acquiring Evan Fournier from Orlando also, and they got him from the Magic too. They got him for second round draft picks and everything else. So I'm kind of interested to find out how the Celtics are going to make this work. So I'm going to ask my man Stack, bring him in. Stack, what you think about the Celtics acquiring Evan Fournier? Because, us being a Celtics fan, I'll tell you right now off the rip, I am not happy at all with this. I'm just not happy with this, man. I'm not happy. I know he's a scorer and everything else. We need a center. Go ahead, Stack. What you think?
Look, I think that there's a lot of centers that are going to come out on the buyout market. So, and I don't think we need much at center other than minutes. Like, I feel like Rob Williams is good for 20 minutes a night. We just need another 20-minute guy. Tice is good too, but just need another bruiser. And I think you got like Gorju Dang coming out. You got Drummond. We'll take our chances with those guys. But we needed shooting too. Let's be honest. We needed shooting too. And Fournier's got size and shooting. So I think it's a good pickup. And we didn't have to let go of anything. As much as I wanted Aaron Gordon, I knew that we wouldn't be able to compete to get him. You know what I mean? The same thing with Vucevic. We did. Danny Ainge is not willing to give up, Marcus Smart, stuff like that. And rightfully so, because we're close. I mean, you look at last night, Milwaukee's one of the hottest teams in the league. We just erased the 25-point deficit. We almost beat them.
Bro,
and
we
so
shoot too many jumpers and then want to start attacking the basket when you're down by 20. I don't like it.
It's okay to shoot a lot of jumpers when you got jump shooters. And Evan Fournier is their actual jump shooter, so maybe Marcus Smart takes less threes when we got Fournier out there.
I don't know. Challenge. I'm going to ask you this because you don't care about the Celtics. I'm going to ask you, do you think Evan Fournier coming to the Celtics is a good move? It's a good addition to the team? Or do you think the Celtics should have went out and tried to get heavy on the center side? And do you like, where they're going? What you think? Can't hear you, Talent.
I put it on mute because the dog was barking. I think they should have went for center size. Boston can't afford to do anything less than getting big right now. You got all of these players, and they're all kind of hovering around the same size and build and stuff. The guards and the swingmen and all that. But when it comes to the big dude, for whatever reason, it's a revolving door again. I would have went big.
You would have went big? Okay.
Yeah, I would have went big.
Okay. I'm gonna leave that there with you. Fig, what you think? You like that move the Celtics made?
He's talking about size, and then he would have went big. Okay, that's the way you feel about it. Listen, man, when I hear Fournier, isn't that French? I think when the Celtics fans heard about Fournier, they was like, tuh. That's French for I don't like it. I mean, just like Talon said, you got another guy who is just pretty much in addition to what you already had. You already got guys that plays his position. So you need a center. I mean, you going around, you can get all these guards and small forwards and stuff like that. At the end of the day, you really need a center. And I don't think it makes a big splash. It just, not to me.
I don't either. Amir, what you think? You like this move?
I think, just like I said about, what's going on with the Clippers, I think that there's something internally, off with the players that are already on the Boston Celtics. Because if you look at the roster as a whole, they have a ton of talent. They have a ton of guys who can get things done and who are great at what they do. But I think there might be some problems with egos and some other things that are not allowing these guys to go, you know what, tonight is Stack's night. So we're going to rock with Stack and we're going to let him go. Tonight is Talent's night. We're going to let Talent go. Tonight is Fig's night. The league is, everybody's a brand now. And because of the branding and the way things shake out, everybody wants to be the man. And when everybody wants to be the man, then somebody has to say, you know what? tonight ain't my night, or I don't need that right now. And I think
You know
where
what?
Boston is concerned and certain other teams, that's really what the issue is. I don't think it's, so much a matter of players. It's a matter of mind frame and mindset of the players that's already there.
I can
So,
agree with that.
we got to see,
I can agree with that. And I could even say right now off the top that we could even extend that to be the coaching. Like that could be even one of the things that the coaching could be an issue too.
Frank,
let me
can I
just
ask you a question?
That's the real
Can I ask
issue
you
in
and
Boston
Stacks?
is coaching.
I want to ask you and Stacks a question. Who's to me, I like the Celtics players, but who's your alpha dog? Like, who would you guys say is the leader on the Celtics right now as the player? Like, who would be that alpha dog?
Marcus Smart.
hands down. Marcus Smart, hands down.
Marcus Smart.
Let me talk about another thing that's happening right now, that's happening right now, and I've been looking at it popping up on ESPN. It looks like the Lakers might finalize a deal with Kyle Lowry. They're circling trying to land Kyle Lowry. Now, if the Lakers end up landing Kyle Lowry, talent, I'm gonna start with you. That right now, they to me become the overall favorite in the West to make it to the finals to get if they add Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry would take that place. We already know he's a floor general, but he would take that place that Rajon Rondo had last year for the team. And they basically, if not even make them a better team. You know what I mean? Once these dudes, once Kyle Lowry comes back. So, Talon, I'm going to ask you, Kyle Lowry to the Lakers, you like that? Because Kyle Lowry going to the Sixers, it looks less and less Jordan did. What you think?
Well, I think you think it looks that it bumps them up to the favorite for the fact of what we call on paper. I'm a realist. And until these boys get back on the floor, you ain't got no AD. You ain't got no LeBron right now. And we're winding down the last, 30 games, maybe 20, 30 games till we get into the playoffs. I don't put them as a heavy favorite. I mean, it's a good look if everyone comes back on paper. But is everyone coming back?
Yeah, everybody's coming back. But, Faye, what you think?
I don't like it. I saw the potential on the move. They got to give away 3 players, and I think one of them was Caldwell Pope, and 2 other players, and it just seemed like and there's a young boy that they like. There's a young kid that they're raving about on the Lakers team, and to get Kyle Lowry and to move these 3 other players, it don't seem to add up. I like Kyle Lowry, you know what I mean, but to move these 3 players to be able to get him because he's made $30 million and they got to make the money even up, so they got to move 3 lesser players to be able to get to him. I think they'll end up losing something in the long run.
Okay, Amir, what you think?
Well, again, a player of Kyle Lowry's stature, his basketball IQ, and his acumen and his thing for where he's already been in the league. You got to understand, no matter what we feel about the Lakers or any team for that matter, and especially the ones that have the older players, and LeBron is in that category, if not one, the oldest player in the league right now, they got to win now. They don't have the luxury of waiting a couple of years and all that stuff. They got to do stuff with this gentleman right now, because unfortunately, the wrong, falling down the wrong way or something, short of whatever, that's going to end this dude's career. And they need to optimize as much as they can get from him and what he's able to, bring to that team and bring to that organization right now while it's still possible. Kyle Lowry allows them to do that. To Fig's point about the players that they may lose, those guys will go off for a second. First of all, some of them may have already won a chip, so you got pedigree because now you won a chip. So it's not like, you're going off to the abyss and you're never going to get back to a championship game. So you already got that under your belt. So now you can kind of go someplace and learn, a little bit more about yourself, hopefully, and maybe come back at a later date and, be a part of that organization again and bring them back to where, they supposedly are supposed to be. So I like it. I mean, but again, we got to wait and see because all of the pieces aren't in place yet. So I'm a whole, until we can see everybody together.
That's what I'm talking about.
Stack, what you think?
Yeah, it's definitely a win now for the Lakers. Kyle Lowry is a champion. He's an all-star, perennial all-star. You can be top heavy when you got LeBron and AD on your squad. I think it'll be the right move. I understand that they're going to lose some pieces, but they're going to stay in games. You got LeBron James on your roster. You're going to stay in the games. You got AD on your roster with LeBron. You're going to stay in the games. So you need a closer like Kyle Lowry, who's been there, been in the big moments. Those hands are going to be way more steady come finals time, which is essentially where they know they're going to end up.
Right. And last question on the NBA, man. I'm gonna start with you, Challenge, so we can jump to the NFL and see if we can finish some of those things first. Where do you think Victor Oladipo is gonna land, Talent? Because right now, a couple of teams that I expected him to go to, he's not gonna go to. Right now, I'm thinking it might be Miami. You know what I mean? Because Miami is literally they're out in the shopping market and buying market at the exact same time. I have a funny feeling Victor Oladipo might land Miami Heat. So, Talent, I'm gonna start with you. Where do you think Victor Oladipo is gonna land?
New York.
Okay.
I think New York was pressing and had their dream set on trying to work something out to get Bradley Beal, and obviously that looking far-fetched and not to happen. And Oladipo is a very, very good-looking piece to add right now, man. That I can see him as a piece coming to New York and not having to give up too much to disrupt the flow that's already going on. So if he goes anywhere, I'm with you. It's definitely going to be one of these six teams. But I see New York trying to do something real sneaky in the next few minutes or
so. Okay. All right. Fig, what you think?
I heard something about Victor Oladipo possibly going to Denver too, which would be really scary if he ends up in Denver because they already they already spent in Denver. If he ends up there, man, it's gonna be a mess. I mean, I would like to see a healthy Victor Oladipo in New York, provided that we don't have to give up our future mortgage, our future for him. But that's cool. Then so one thing that I said about the Lakers, they're going very old, and when LeBron James retires, they ain't gonna have much of a team. You know what I mean? It's like gut city. It's like gut your future to win now. They're gonna be in purgatory after LeBron James leaves. He's 36, Kyle Lowry's 35. All the players they're getting are old, and they ain't gonna have very much future.
Hey, Mia, what you think?
I think anywhere Victor Oladipo ends up is going to be, a great look. He's one of those players, again, to me, who flies, semi under the radar. You watch him and you know what he can do and what he's capable of. So as you watch him and you see what he brings to the table, it's pretty amazing. But I don't know if he definitively gets the same, fluff and fanfare as some of the other, some of his other contemporaries. So to me, he's a great addition. It doesn't make a difference where he goes, and especially if he brings his A game. To the point that Fig was making about the Lakers getting gutted, with age. That's a part of the game, unfortunately. And like I said, when you're talking about organizations, to the point that Frank made earlier about being number one or number two, markets and all that stuff, certain organizations feel like they have to keep that the going. You can't wait but so long before certain organizations have to be back up there in conversation and have to be a part of what is known as the fabric of basketball. The Lakers, unfortunately, one of those teams. So, everything is a wait and see. I don't never say anybody's out of anything because it's up to those players that are on each and every one of these organizations to bring their A game in, night in and night out. So we got to wait and see.
I agree with that. Stack, what you think about this, bro? I mean,
turn your phone this way. Should go to New York. I think that would make the most sense for him. I think between him and Quickly and just some of the young core that they got, it'd be the best move. Yeah, that's pretty much it with the Oladipo thing. And then the Lakers, as far as with the Lakers, they're just trying to have the most championships of all time, and they're tied with the Celtics right now at 17. So they're just trying to get that first down. They worry about the rest later.
All right, okay. Now let me switch to the NFL real fast because we only got a few minutes left to go in the show. Looks like Leonard Fournette and Antonio Brown looks like they may possibly come back to the Bucs. If they come back to the Bucs, Talent, how are you looking at their chances? Where do you think they're going to land if they come back and eventually sign to the Bucs? Because those are the only two players left on that whole championship roster that would be coming back in. And this is probably one of the first teams in the NFL history that was able to get the entire team to return. What do you think if Leonard Fournette and Antonio Brown comes back? What do you think their chances are?
I told you it was going to happen. You said you didn't think it was going to happen. I told you it was going to happen. I think they are the team to beat. The way the NFL is set up, whoever wins that championship and the fashion they did it in, you know, it's one thing to win and be the team to beat, but the fashion that they did it in, you know, you took the old guy and beat the young guy. That's never good, Frank. I think they are ranked at the top. They are the team to beat. And the fact that everybody came back, man, it's like, you know what it's like if you had to put it in the song, is na 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 na.
Fake, what you think?
Hey man, listen, I'm gonna tell you this. If the Kansas City Chiefs is healthy, I'm going with the Chiefs because they still got that boy Patrick Mahomes, and I still believe if they had their offensive line intact, then that game wouldn't have looked nothing like it looked during the Super Bowl. So depending on what the Kansas City Chiefs do with that offensive line and they have their players coming back, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs, man. I mean, because I think they would have won the Super Bowl if they was healthy.
Okay, but man, what you think?
Well, you know what? Again, it's always great when you have pieces and players and things that you're familiar with come back because there's that familiarity. To Fig's point, I think that obviously it would be great to see that matchup again, as well as any other matchups that, you know, come out of the season. But, you know, again, I'm not that big of a Tom Brady fan, but that's me. That has nothing to do with you guys.
We know this. We know
And
this.
I think that, you know, to the point that they are still trying to ensure that he has the pieces around him that give him the best possible chances to win. That's what the game is about. You need the pieces around you in order to, you know, be able to get the job done. So kudos to the organization for that.
Stack, man, what do you think? What do you think?
Hey, yeah, I think Tampa Bay's doing what they're supposed to do to give Tom the help that he needs, but quite frankly, it's all about the Patriots this upcoming season. So I ain't really worried about Tampa Bay right now because I tell you what, we playing with a vengeance here. We playing with a vengeance, okay? So they can bring back whoever they want to bring back. All right.
You know what the funny thing is I knew he was gonna say that. I knew he's like, I don't care what nobody says.
Sunday.
First of all, Stack, thank you for putting a hat on.
Bro, you know, I lost my hat. I was outside. I was like, dang, I wanted to go out in the sun, but I left my hat inside. I had to come back.
Yo, man, you know what, Frank? I can't argue with Stacks, man. Bill Belichick, man, has been spending maybe more money than I've ever seen in the history of the Patriots, and he's putting some quality players on that team, man, some playmakers. And with his coaching style, I wouldn't say that's far-fetched. I mean, you know what I mean? They in the weakest division in the NFL.
No, they're not.
Okay. I'm so tired.
No.
The NFC East will be better this year than they were last year. And I think with Bill Belichick, look, they've been winning their division every year for as long as we can possibly remember. And I think they're in a prime position to be able to do it again. And then they just got to win a couple of games in the playoffs.
Who's better than Buffalo in the NFC East?
I think the Patriots will be better than Buffalo this year.
No, in the NFC East, who's better than Buffalo?
I think Dallas will have a better team than Buffalo because they're getting their quarterback. And you asking me, you only asking my opinion though, right?
Yeah, I just feel like people be always talking about the AFC East is the weakest division, yet the AFC East got the most Super Bowls out of the last 20 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, if you win your division, then you just got a couple of games in the playoffs to be able to win. No,
the Super Bowl, and I don't win the Super Bowl for you. I'm talking 9 Super Bowls in 21 years, bro.
Yeah, well, who had a good team in the AFC East? Was it Buffalo? Was it the Jets or was it Miami? Who had a good team?
Buffalo been in the playoffs the last 3 years, winning 12 games.
You talking about before those Stacks, not now. Buffalo just got here.
Okay.
Before that,
I absolutely
Buffalo
love
was
this. I love
garbage.
this.
The Jets was garbage, and so was Miami.
The Eagles came out of nowhere in 2018. But other than that, when has anybody started the season talking about an NFC East as a contender to win the Super Bowl?
No, nobody has. Nobody
People
has.
talk about Dallas every damn year.
Yeah, people talk about
they
Dallas
haven't
because
done
it gets you
it.
headlines, it gets you viewings, it gets you ratings. But Dallas has not been a championship contender since it's been 30 years, bro.
I know that, but that wasn't your question.
My question is, I just feel like we always trying to down the AFC East, but like we've been winning all the Super Bowls.
Hey Frank, I think we should change the name of this show to School Days. The dark skin against the light skin going on here. When the last time you seen a show that didn't have an argument with the dark skin versus the light skin? How about the dark skin East?
Oh man!
I would never call any of my brothers a jigaboo, so I take offense to that.
You know what, y'all? No matter how you slice it, every single year, and I'm this last point. No matter how you slice it, every single year, you do not know the team or how the team is going to be. You just don't know. You know what I mean? And there's every year. What I love about the NFL, every year is a team that comes out and is better than what we thought they were going to be. Because you never know. Yeah. Every year, like every single year. You know, and like I don't know about y'all, but the last 3 years, I didn't think Buffalo was going to be this good. You know what I mean? I mean, I go down a list of a couple teams. Who thought 2 years ago Tennessee was going to make it as far as they did? You know what I mean? You never know. Yeah. You never know. But anyway, y'all, that's the show. I want to thank my man Amir for especially joining the show, coming in the last minute. Amir came in and said, you know what, I could step in for Fig today, even though Fig showed up. I also want to thank my man Stack for taking the time out his day for stepping in because he thought the same thing. Hell, I thought the same thing. Anyway, but thank Talent for joining the show. I want to thank Fig for joining the show. Talent, tell everybody out there how they can follow you.
Hey, listen, man, follow me because I'm on my way to Connecticut to Fig's house with a caravan full of dark-skinned brothers to set this right. I'm at It's Just Comedy on Twitter, people, Talented Comedian on Instagram. We'll see you tonight, 10:30. Amir and we giving away some cash and prizes to the people playing some music trivia tonight.
All right, I appreciate you, Talent. Thank you for joining the show. My man Stack, tell everybody out there how they can follow you.
Y'all can catch me at Stackinova on Instagram and Twitter or on the box seat, smacking up Fig every chance I get.
Amir, tell everybody out there how they can follow you.
As y'all can see, you can follow me on the gram, AROCK Sealy, SEALY on the gram. And on Facebook, I'm just Amir Sealy. I ain't hiding from nobody. You can find me anywhere. I'm following these gentlemen.
Bro, we know we can find you with them Knicks colors. You know we can find you all day. Fig, tell everybody out there they can follow you.
You can follow your boy Comedian Fig on social media platforms. Let me tell you something. This is the first time I've ever been cussed out for agreeing with somebody that their team is going to win. I don't understand it. And you can follow me Monday through Friday on the box seat, 1 to 2 p.m. And this is the best damn sports show on TV, man.
He just didn't like the fact of what you said about the AFC East. He didn't like that.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I'm tired of hearing that, man.
I'm tired of hearing it myself.
We didn't have no red carpet to the Super Bowl. We didn't get those.
But everybody thinks that. That's all good. That's all good. That's all good. Yo, y'all are watching the show. It's called Box Seats. Thanks to gentlemen for watching, for even being on the show. We're gonna be back tomorrow. We're gonna have a couple of special guests, as hopefully that they will confirm. It's on the channel. It's called The Humor Mill. Download the app on both iOS or Android. Call your cable service provider and all that. Tomorrow we'll be back at 1 o'clock. Thank y'all. Take care.